I thank you, Madam President, for recognizing me. I've been trying to be recognized before the Majority Leader decided to, what we call around here, fill the tree, which means taking away the opportunity for amendments to be offered, although there will be an attempt, I believe, in a moment to offer some. I'm disappointed in that because I think we were very close to reaching an agreement which would have enabled us to move forward with allowing senators on both sides of the aisle to offer some of their ideas on the unemployment insurance extension. Recall, this is an important debate we're having for the American people. It is about whether we go beyond the roughly 26 weeks in unemployment insurance to have an emergency extension again. And on this side of the aisle, there were a few of us who crossed over, in fact, to vote with the entire Democrat majority to say, let's have that debate. We thought we were doing so in good faith, that there would actually be a debate on two issues, really. One is whether it should be paid for or not, and how it should be paid for, which I'll address in a second. But second was how we should reform the unemployment insurance program and, in fact, do other pro-growth policies to actually get at the underlying problem, which is a record number of Americans who are long-term unemployed. Clearly, what we're doing isn't working, and we believe that this is an opportunity for us to help improve the program to actually address the real problem. The President of the United States wants to do that. He called me on Monday and told me that he had hoped that we would be able to address this issue by voting for the motion to proceed, to begin this debate, so that over the next few months, while we had a short-term extension of this program, there could be even more detailed discussions about how to improve the legislation and how to add other elements to it, specifically on how to give people who are long-term unemployed the skills they need to access the jobs that are available. Unfortunately, we're not going to have that opportunity now, it appears, to be able to have this debate over how to pay for it, what the pay for ought to be, and again, how to improve the program. But let me just say, this is unfortunate because we had 60 votes to proceed. That includes certainly 3 of us who are here on the floor today. All 3 of us are willing to move forward with this with a reasonable provision to pay for this over the 3 months, and again, during that period, to come up with a better and improved unemployment insurance program. We were not part of the discussion as to the pay-for that the Majority Leader has just put forward. I appreciate his good faith in wanting to include one of the proposals that I had in my amendment. I honestly do appreciate that. I will say that the offset that he has put in, I've just learned about because I didn't have the opportunity to see it until now. And there is an important difference between what was just offered in the new Democrat proposal and what is in my proposal. My proposal, as I've come to the floor to talk about 3 times now, has been previously proposed in the House. It says that if you get unemployment insurance or you get trade adjustment assistance, then you also do not receive Social Security disability insurance in that same month. Why? Because these programs are mutually exclusive. If you're on Social Security disability, SSDI, that means you are not working by definition. If you are working and lose your job, you are then continuing to look for work, you get TAA. If you have lost your job and you continue to look for work, which is required, you get unemployment insurance. This is why this same general program is laid out in the President's budget, and in fact is something that I believe the administration supports and others. The proposals the Democrats have included says that if you receive unemployment insurance in the month you receive Social Security, then your SSDI is reduced by the amount of unemployment insurance received. Why does that matter? It's not the same thing, and it matters because the proposal that the Majority Leader has proposed saves a lot less money. According to the Congressional Budget Office, my proposal would save about $5.4 billion. Theirs, as I understand it from the distinguished Majority Leader today, would save about $1 billion. So, again, I appreciate him wanting to include it, and I think it is in the same spirit as the amendment that I offered. But honestly, we haven't had the chance to sit down and talk about this. I've tried today to sit down with the Democrat sponsor of the underlying legislation, the other Senator Reid, who in good faith said he wanted to talk about it, but we haven't been able to schedule that, and so we have not had the discussion. So we are just learning today what is in, again, the sort of take it or leave it proposal that's in the Majority Leader's proposal in filling the tree. Now, there is a possibility, I think procedurally, the Majority Leader has expressed some interest in looking at this, of taking that agreement and altering it somewhat over the next couple of days, because the cloture would not ripen, as I understand, until Monday afternoon. But that still doesn't give all of our other colleagues a chance to offer their good ideas, and there are a bunch of them out there. The senator from New Hampshire offered hers day before yesterday, talked about it today on the floor, where she wants to take away some of the existing missed payments that are in the child tax credit. I would think all of us would want to do that, to preserve the child tax credits for those who are truly eligible. For those who are not eligible, obviously they shouldn't have access to it. Seems like a sensible amendment to me. I'm a co-sponsor of that amendment. Senator Coates has raised his ideas today, and I think he has some good ideas that ought to be debated. So my hope is that we would be able to go back to where we were prior to filling the tree and to say, let's have a discussion. It can be limited. I think there are a very limited number of amendments. I see the distinguished Republican whips on the floor. I think he indicated to me today there are something under 20 amendments offered by the Republican side. I don't know how many of those have actually been filed, but it seems to me that we could have had a good debate on that and still should. So my hope is that we can come up with a solution here. I do think it's going to require us providing some opportunity for other people to be engaged, and specifically for those of us who want to get to a solution, which is a lot of people on this side of the aisle and that side of the aisle, both sides of the aisle. Let's sit down and talk. We're adults. You know, we have been elected by millions of people to represent them, and it's our responsibility, indeed our commitment to them, that we would sit down across the aisle and work these things out as you would in any other relationship, in your marriage, in your business, with your neighbors. We had some discussion about this yesterday, that for some reason in the United States Senate it seems we are unable to even have the most basic level of discussion and debate. So I'm open to that. I had hoped to do it today. I put my ideas out there. Parts of them have been accepted. I appreciate that, but frankly not the way that we had laid it out in my own amendment. And I do believe that we have the opportunity, if we were to back up, to actually solve this problem, meaning provide what the president says he wants, which is a 3-month extension of long-term unemployment, so that we can sit down, roll up our sleeves as Republicans and Democrats, and come up with a better way to address what is a crisis in this country, which is more people long-term unemployed than ever in the history of our country. Those people are hurting, and clearly the current system isn't working. So just to extend it is not the answer. The answer is for Washington to do its job, and that is to reform these programs so they work for the people we represent. President, thank you. I just want to make 2 corrections quickly, then yield to my colleague from Indiana. One is the proposal that I did offer had nothing to do with Obamacare, as the Majority Leader, I thought, understood, and others do not, including the Senator from New Hampshire's amendments. So we do have a number of amendments, a number of good ideas. We had a debate. Second, it is in the President's budget, so if it's such a terrible proposal, I'm surprised the President would have proposed it.
Would my friend yield for a question?
Sure.
We're in kind of a question asking
Of course.
here today. Would my friend yield a question?
Of course.
Do you also understand in the President's budget, he calls for revenue in the budget, does he not?
Yes, he does. He calls for major tax increases for American people.
And my friend would also acknowledge, and when presidents submit these budgets, don't they propose a budget rather than nitpicking different pieces of their budget one at a time?
The gentleman's correct, and after having put together one of those budgets myself, I will tell you, you have to stand by all of those policies. And I think if you were to call on the Office of Management and Budget or the Treasury Department, they would tell you they stand by these proposals. And so, yes, it's a package, but they put these in because they think they're a good policy. So my only point is I think we've got some good ideas that are not related to Obamacare, since that seems to be an objection by the distinguished Majority Leader. And look, I hope we can work something out here. I do think there's an opportunity for us to do so, but I don't think we can do it unless there's a little bit of give and take and some discussion at least, which we've not been able to have yet. With that, I yield to my friend from Indiana.